Hello and welcome back to the Middling Along podcast. My guest this time is Abi Adams. Abi is a mum of two and a female health changemaker, emotional liberator and founder of Prøject Wøman, a confidential space where you learn to know yourself and your health in a way you never thought possible. Abi is ridiculously passionate about raising the bar on feminine health and has been on her own fascinating and enriching journey to expand her skills and knowledge, enabling her to create a unique way of living in harmony as a woman. That all sounds fantastic. Welcome to the podcast, Abi.
Well, thank you very much. It's amazing when someone reads out your bio and you think, wow, she sounds pretty cool, doesn't she? Good to be here. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. So tell us about your journey.
Blimey, do you know what? We use that word journey a lot, don't we? I quite liken mine to a bit of a trek. I do like putting on my walking boots, and I suppose that is what my life has been from childhood, navigating a lot of emotions through home life, what occurred as a child, and how that pushed me through life. And I say that pushed me through because I was very unaware of how those emotions were governing most of my decisions and my health and my lack of understanding of female health. And it wasn't until it was in 2016 when life offered many, what would you call them, experiences where one of my closest cousins died of a brain hemorrhage. She was found on the kitchen floor. I had a miscarriage that started at her funeral. My mum got skin cancer, and my husband's oldest family friend, was found dead in his flat. And we are amazing at plastering that plastic smile on the face and saying, yeah, I'm all right, I'm all right. But it just weren't sticking. And to save my marriage and my sanity, I took myself off to a mixed movement camp in America where we trained in various forms of movement. I'm a movement coach, a yoga teacher is in with that, and a holistic therapist. And it was there that I found my period, and I was 34, and I could not believe how little I knew about myself. From all of that moving and the lack of, responsibility, I suppose, my periods became 28 days. There was no emotional responses. They wasn't heavy and clotting. And, what's going on? So I came back and I start researching and looking into it. And I look in and I find the Red School and their emotional approach. And I'm always pulled to all the emotions because emotions to me are the foundation of everything. They govern your health. Doesn't matter what you are doing. If you're not emotionally stable, nothing's going to stick. And then I start looking into the physiology of feminine health and how to move more empowered with your body and your hormones. And it was just a huge rabbit hole, really. And this is why I'm sitting here with you today. I'm by no means a master, but, I am a constant practitioner. And as I step into perimenopause, I understand the importance of knowing your period whilst you have it, because the sad thing is when it's gone, you will miss it. And there is no pill in the world that will ever bring it back. And my life has been enriched profoundly by the seasons that I have found within my cycle, the emotional exploration, the understanding of how to exercise so that I don't drain the tank and I make my body stronger so that it anchors, like my brain. I was going to point at just my head, but you guys can't see that, can you? And it anchors my brain, because without that strong foundation of a body, you get that monkey mind, and it just floats.
There's something that I've only become aware of recently in terms of having done quite a lot more strength training over the last couple of years. But yeah, just sort of understanding that none of those workouts are going to be the same depending on where you are in your cycle, and kind of not beating myself up for not feeling as strong and as capable and as energetic, as you say, on one day versus the other end of that kind of estrogen ebb and flow.
Absolutely. And we are constantly evolving within this cycle. And you're changing every 2 days. So every 2 days there is a shift. If you're trying to do the same thing every single day, you're not fighting life, you're fighting yourself. That's where the fight is. Life is not trying to fight you, but you are fighting your physiology, and this is the communication that you create. Then life becomes harder, life becomes a fight. And through that understanding of the menstrual cycle and the deeper understanding of your emotional, is it a blueprint? Is it confidence? Is it intelligence? Whatever word you resonate with, but that emotional confidence to communicate with your physiology instead of against it is a game changer. Absolute game changer.
So tell us, how can we get more in tune with ourselves, with our own bodies and our cycles? How does that work?
You've got to listen. And coming from someone that has pushed against life with passion, you know, I'm a very passionate person. But like I said, at childhood, a lot of stuff was going on at home, and my nervous system was set at quite a high bar. And when it's set there, it takes a lot for you to actually hear or feel. And so to be constantly doing doesn't allow for you to listen and receive. Creating those pockets of time where you're just in peace, you're just in quiet. And that sounds, for a lot of people, mums especially, I totally hear you. I've got 2 small children, and that can feel like the biggest
nice
challenge
try.
in the world.
Nice try. Where am I going to find a bit of peace?
Do you know what I mean? But what I appreciate is that when you really understand what your needs are, you find you find your rhythm. You just find your rhythm. And so for me, I'll get up at about 4:30 in the morning, and I'll do whatever practices that, you know, it might be dancing around to music. This morning it was dancing around to this piece of music I just found, and it was bloody beautiful. It was so beautiful. It could be some yoga, whatever. And it sets me up for the rest of the day. But I have this opportunity to really listen and tune into what is it that I need to do today. Otherwise, if you get up with that alarm clock and you are straight out of that gatepost, you fall into someone else's rhythm, another rhythm that isn't your own. And then you're always chasing it.
I think that's the point. You just said, you know, what do I need? And that's something that we very often, we're not very good at asking, what do I need, as opposed to what does everyone else in my life need?
Yeah.
And then maybe, if you're lucky, you kind of come way down the pecking order.
Well, this is it. But remembering, for me, my children have been my biggest teacher. And what I realise now is that what I do, they are seeing, but not only seeing, they're feeling, because the movement, the way that I move, and what I mean is how I walk, how I express myself, they're picking all of that up. So if they see me looking after myself in the morning, and like my little boy comes down because he's a bit of an early riser like me, it makes an impression. It might not look like it at the start, but you're making an impression. And so that's always going to be there. And eventually he might come to that.
So you're trying to model that kind of that self-care.
Absolutely.
So tell us a bit more about Prøject Wøman, which is launching this year.
Well, Prøject Wøman has been running for a couple of years now. It was founded in COVID through, like many of us, having to pivot on our heads, right? But I was sitting in a cafe in Soho in London, and I was reading the local magazine, and it spoke about Project Zero, and about the oceans, and how there were dead zones in our oceans, and how this was creating a catastrophe for the environment. And I thought, that's exactly what the womb is. It's a dead zone. And I mean that with the greatest of respect, because you never really get educated on it. It never gets spoken about in a positive light. Because when we look back in history, we see that physicians would view any human with a womb as having the possibility of being hysterical, because that's what female health was. It was an hysterical response. And so it just kind of pulled together this idea of women gathering and getting together and being reminded of what health is. And so I began to pour all of my 20 years of knowledge and study and research on myself and with other women to create the Prøject Wøman membership and experience. And this is now going into an in-person experience. I don't call it a retreat, with the greatest of respect to retreats, because I don't think women need to retreat anymore. I think that we just need to recharge, refuel, and then go back out into that world and express ourselves as the beautiful creations that we are. And so it's taken place at the Rewilding in Lancaster, which is probably one of the most beautiful spots in the UK. Michelle runs the farm there, which has access to a private beach by the ocean, as well as these wonderful woodlands and these gorgeous cottages. And the space there just evokes the opportunity for you to reset, to
Sounds lovely.
take the time, because we speak. I was sitting with a group of women yesterday, and she said, "Oh my goodness, sign me up! You had me for all those women that don't have enough time." And you can't create time in a lifestyle that doesn't have the time. That's why it's so hard, isn't it? There's no time in there for you to try and fit anything in, because we've created these choices that you've fitted everything like a filing system. But how can you put another file in if you're already jam-packed? Well, this is what this experience is going to do. We create the time, you receive the experience, you come away feeling revitalized, reanimated, passionate, motivated to go out and just feel good about yourself. And when you feel good about yourself, you create time for yourself. And even if that's only 5 minutes, it's 5 minutes, but you will build on that. And that's what I've learned. You start with something small and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And the funny thing is, you then realize, wow, I do have time. I do have half an hour to do my yoga or go for my run or lift my weights, whatever it is. And this is what Prøject Wøman is all about. It's about the environment that wants you to be your most vibrant.
Sounds fantastic. So the Prøject Wøman already existed, but this is a sort of Prøject Wøman event.
That's
and are
right.
you building that out into a series of these events, and will there be more sort of online as well?
It will become an annual thing. It's part of a year-long support which will take place at the change of every season to inspire us to feel more into a more rhythmic approach to life. Again, I talk about taking the fight out. Every season offers us a little bit of gold as to how we could be moving, how we could be feeling, how we can be supporting ourselves, so it doesn't feel such hard work. Life isn't meant to be hard work. Yeah, there's challenges there, don't get me wrong. But as a human, it's in your cells to know what to do. It doesn't have to feel such an emotional burden. And when you're in an emotionally strong place, you've got all those tools there.
We talked a little bit offline about the book you're reading now about wintering. So yeah, if anybody is listening to this in the cold depths of January and feeling very much like they're wintering, have you picked up anything in particular so far from the book that you want to share?
Oh, it's just this is what I mean about the seasonal approach to life and remembering what each season represents, and it's a bit like the inner seasons of the cycle. When we come into that winter space, the body starts to slow down. But what we tend to confuse it with is like a depressive approach. But it's not. Your body's just looking for a bit of time out. It's not about, and I find it really interesting. I used to work in the corporate world, and how at Christmas it ramps up, right? How many Christmas parties have you got to go to? Well, when I think back in the day before COVID, It was unbelievable. We was out all the time. And I remember unless I was out, the downward feeling that I would have. But now when I look at that, it really is a gift. It really is a beautiful opportunity to be at home, in the warmth, eating really good food, resting, restoring. But if you have had some trauma in your life, if there has been an experience that you've not dealt with, these moments of wintering can feel incredibly difficult. And this is what I mean by understanding how the seasons impact us, how by understanding the physiology of our body and our emotional expression, we can move through these and we aren't beholden to them, because you don't have to feel like this. And there are ways that you can move through it with a guiding hand and a loving heart. I always say to women, look around at your environment. is it supporting you? And most of the time it's not, because there's no time there for them to sit down and truly talk about how they're feeling. Find this space, and this is what Prøject Wøman is all about. It's about you showing up however you feel on that day and saying, this is how I'm feeling right now. I need help, or I just need to be heard. And this is the space that we need to cultivate more.
And the event that you talked about obviously is going to be happening at the end of winter, beginning of spring. Is that a very kind of deliberate timing?
Absolutely. The beginning of our, as we step into our spring, we're going to be using approaches that really encourage and inspire what spring can mean and feel, and how we can use that energy to move us through towards summer, so that we don't overspend ourselves, so that we don't create these emotional kickbacks, and so we can maintain our health long term, and so that our health doesn't feel like a burden, because it's not meant to. It's meant to be easy. Your health is an innate process. I don't know if any of you listen to Zach Bush. I'm kind of in love with him and the way that he speaks. And he talks about this crystalline memory within every cell of your body. Your cells are made of water, and water holds so much memory. And what happens is all of your memories become crystalline within each of these cells. And this is what you see life from. That's the perspective that you see life from. And so we're not really looking with a clear lens. We're always looking from this crystalline imprint. When we step out in nature, when we start to incorporate nature in our lifestyle, we see that this can reorder and remap these memories, this physiology, so that life becomes so much more fulfilling and beautiful. I mean, that just, wow, for me is amazing.
There's a lot more research that's been coming out, hasn't there, about sort of that nature connectedness. And I think the latest one was about exposure to, did they call it blue space? So it's something like 20 minutes of being kind of in the presence of water has all of these sort of beneficial effects. Sadly, I live right in the middle of the country, away from, about as far away from the sea as you can get, but we do have some very lovely rivers and lakes, so I will have to make do with that. But
you've got a beautiful blue sky behind you.
I have.
We forget, don't we? Just that in itself is phenomenal. There's always something there within nature to adapt to and to receive from.
Talk us through a bit more then about what else people could expect from your kind of in-person gathering that's not a retreat.
Gathering that's not a retreat. I love it. Like I said, this is, can you just take a moment, right, to, you wake up in the morning and you take a walk down to the ocean, and the first thing that you hear is the sound of the waves lapping against the shore and a gentle breeze against your skin, and there's nothing there calling you. Like you've not got an email that you've got to address, you've not got a child that needs your support, you've not got anything, just space. Oh, I mean, just that in itself is unbelievable. We're going to be bringing in, I suppose I'm a bridge between the woo woo and the here and now. I'm a working class girl, and yet I went and lived in India to study yoga and the psychology behind the energy centers of the body, and I'm a kinesiologist, and I've gone into all of these wonderful esoteric approaches, and yet my family comes from Bermondsey. They were all dockers and lightermen, and yet here I am. And so I want to bridge that gap, because I know, I've experienced it, how it can elevate your life and make life so exciting. That's how I see life. I see it as so exciting. And that's what's going to be the integral part of this. Music is just one of my go-to tools, and we're going to be having beautiful music to play out all of these emotions and to move our bodies. And this is not about you being like standing on your head or anything like that, or doing backflips. It's not that at all. This is about you moving your body in a way you have never felt before or never felt possible, and realizing just how much your body holds emotion and how lighter you feel just by moving them out. Phenomenal. I've studied the body for over 20 years now, and movement and music has been the greatest thing. I've had speech therapy, but it's always been the body that has got me over the other side, that's opened the door of understanding. And so, yeah, we're going to be moving in this great space. There's going to be conversations, really great conversations, around a big fire, big hot chocolate in your hand, great women sitting next to you, music playing. I mean, what more could you want? It's time out. It's time out of your usual chaotic, hectic schedule that you wouldn't normally take, that you don't have the space to create. I'm going to do that for you. You ain't got to worry about anything. You just got to show up, enjoy yourself, and receive all of this wonderful energy in a way that us Brits can handle, to be honest with you. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, I'm the bridge.
The kind of optimal amount of woo for anyone who's not sure, who's like, for someone who's thinking, I'm not sure, I'm the retreat type. Obviously, this is not a retreat; it's a gathering.
It's not a retreat, no. And it's another thing I want to point out is the food aspect. We will cater for everyone. Whether you're plant-based or you eat meat, this food is going to be so nourishing. And guess what? You ain't got to cook it. How amazing! I mean, what more could you want? Sign me up. I'm there. I don't have to cook my own dinner or breakfast or lunch. Yeehaw. Coming back to the woo-woo side of things, what does that mean? And what I have learned over all of my years is that this, I don't do woo-woo, is just a door that you've never been through before. It was like the first time you did yoga. Oh, do I really need to go? Oh, that felt good. Oh, yeah, nice. You might then start to do your breath work. Wow, what a difference. Now you're doing Wim Hof. Who would have thought it? Next, you're jumping into a cold bath. I mean, how on earth did you get this far?
You'll never know unless you try.
And now you're sitting, you could never meditate before, but now you're doing 5 minutes. Now you're doing 10 minutes. Now you really appreciate this time for you. Was it really woo-woo? Or was it just the unknown?
You'll have to turn up and find out. So, Abi, thank you. It's been so interesting chatting to you. People can follow you on Instagram, and we'll share the website where everyone can find out more about you, more about Prøject Wøman, how they can sign up to this awesome sounding gathering.
Thank you.
I'm off to check my diary now. Thanks so much for coming along and sharing.
Thank you so much for having me.
You've been listening to the Middling Along podcast. Do remember to subscribe to be notified when our next episode is live. And why not visit the blog at www.middlingalong.com to sign up to my newsletter as well. I do hope you enjoyed listening today. If you did, I'd be really grateful if you would consider leaving a short review, as that helps people find the podcast and helps get it noticed. Hope you can join us next time. Goodbye for now.